Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Master Chess Web Show presented by Andrew Martin and myself, Nigel Davies. And today we are going to give our take on the candidates tournament so far.
Well, at least the first 3 rounds.
At least the first 3 rounds. They're now having a rest day. The poor dears must be exhausted by their efforts.
Well, they actually played 4 rounds, haven't they? All the games were drawn yesterday, I think.
Oh right, okay, 4 rounds. So yeah, they're making a few quick draws, and but there have been some interesting games. I've been particularly impressed by Nakamura. Right, I think he's just a brilliant player. Right. I added to the we're going to take a look at all the decisive games, plus I added Nakamura's save against Firouzja, because I thought he defended brilliantly. He found like a whole series of only moves to save the game.
Yeah,
and it was very impressive.
I mean, anyway, you talk about a rest day after 4 games or something, but actually the amount of effort needed to win a game at this level is very substantial, isn't it?
Well,
yeah.
At our level,
when you're trying to win a game with a Berlin as black, this is exhausting stuff.
I think chess can be exhausting just about any level. You know, it's just. I mean, the thing is, you know, if you don't have quite their technique and skill and whatever, you're still going to have to put a lot of effort in order to win games.
Yes.
You know, and for the, you know, certainly for the more mature title player, then it's not easy. You know, there's just I played one of these boutique GM all play all tournaments, and that was 9 games in 5 days, and that was absolutely crushing. 2 games a day, right? You know, and you know, these young things, they have one game rest day.
One interesting question, of course. Do you think the winner, Magnus Carlsen, will actually play the winner, or will he stick to his threat of not playing anybody apart from Firouzja?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he might have a rethink.
It's just the thought of all that computer preparation needed to beat somebody like Caruana again, or who I think actually will probably win the tournament. I don't know. You speak of Nakamura. I mean, they're all great players. Caruana, he's got the stability, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Caruana and Nakamura. I think Caruana has to be the favourite now, especially as he's got to +1, and just Nakamura amazes me. You know, I think he's a fabulous player. And he's making videos and streaming and whatever, you know, during the tournament, which
you're doing twice as much, I think.
I mean, he's got to have a lot of energy. So
half an hour on YouTube to cover the first prize in the candidates. Yeah.
What he has for breakfast?
Analysing Stafford Gambit or something.
So let's get the screen share up.
Right, so the first game we're going to look at here. Okay, so I think it is it Ding Liren versus Nepomniachtchi from the first round?
Against Nepomniachtchi.
Yeah,
and I annotated these games beforehand, so we don't miss anything like really stupid. Well, we might miss something stupid, but
okay. So here, first point of interest. Is this move any good?
C6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it's known, isn't it?
It's known, but yeah, I guess knight f6 would be played first. I mean, I think d4 has got to be a critical test, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, then there's 2 ways to do it. Well, at least 2 ways to do it. You can play e4. You can play bishop b4 check and then d6 with a kind of old Indian where you've traded off your dark square bishop.
I mean, could you also go here? I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah, you can. You can. That would be some kind of King's Indian, Old Indian, depending where you put your King's Bishop.
Yeah.
So
I mean, c6 is obviously quite a challenge to the early g3 systems, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Just building a sector.
Yeah. I mean, Nepomniachtchi, because he's a Grunfeld player, he has to play something independent against the English, because the English move orders Grunfeld players out of their Grunfelds. So, but he's an enterprising player, Nepomniachtchi.
Certainly not a equalising attempt, is it? It's more than that. It's a sharp attempt to get the advantage.
It'd be interesting if he actually came in the first two and then won the match. So he would, after getting this drubbing by Carlsen,
he's got another one to look forward to.
So, but I mean, the thing is, it does look like he's got a bit of a glass jaw. That he reacts badly to losses. And you'd think that somewhere along the line, someone's going to beat him in this tournament. In which case, how he reacts is.
This is a provocative move, knight f3, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think Ding wants to win. But there's. It's possible he's been jet lagged. I don't know how long in advance he arrived for the tournament. But you've got to be awfully careful when you move through time zones. It's
how many hours is he missing? About 5 hours or something?
Well, it's probably
China to Madrid, 5 or 6 hours, perhaps.
Yeah, something like that, 6 hours. So normally you want to your body can adjust at like an hour a day. Right, that's something like what it takes. I mean, the stuff you can do, to speed the process. One thing is he could have changed his sleep schedule so that he started living under Madrid time before he left. Right, that's worth doing.
Maybe of course he played this before, hasn't he, as white and won with it, but. It just looks very provocative and gives black freedom of movement that he wouldn't normally have at an early stage.
Yeah. Well, Ding Liren's played this with both colours, actually.
Oh.
So this has been a...
So what have we got here? It's kind of Mykonos system against the English, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't this also Larsen Korchnoi from the Leningrad Interzonal?
So long ago, 1973, wasn't it?
73, yeah. I think they played a game in this line too, and that was won crushingly by Korchnoi. I don't know if that game is showing up somewhere down here. Not seeing it now. Maybe back here we've still got it. So, but there's been lots of high-level discussion of this line. Knight a6. The computer gave that an exclam. Castles, bishop e7, and knight e3 apparently is a novelty. Oh no, it's not a novelty. Well, why is it saying it's a novelty? It's been played in games before. Right, it's not a novelty. But
I guess White normally plays d4, does he?
D3 or d4.
Yeah. Hard to judge. I mean, it looks as though black has got, enough freedom of movement to guarantee at least equality here. And some attacking chances against white's king, queen h5 and then bishop h3 or something like that.
Yeah. So knight e3.
Especially now.
And then castle. Yeah, a3. Okay, well, how's white going to develop the bishop on c1 if he's not going to play d3 or d4 on the previous move?
Well, he's going to try and play b4 and bishop b2, isn't he?
Yeah. So you have to do it that way. And rook e8, and now b4, and here we get a quite an enterprising move by
Nakamura. Yeah.
No, by
Nepomniachtchi, sorry.
So he goes knight g4, and
Yes.
So this is, I don't think this is a pawn sack, is it?
Okay, so let's have a look. What if he takes the pawn? Now, how are we going to take it?
Yeah, you could. Well, you've got to take it with the bishop, or first take on g4.
Yes. Well, if you take bishop takes e4.
Yeah, and then
Well, you've got knight takes e3, haven't you, to start off with?
yeah, and then he's got to take with the f pawn,
The f pawn.
and then you have,
Bishop h3, is it?
well, yeah, maybe bishop h3, rook f2.
f2. Bishop g5, maybe.
Yeah, and or rook a d8.
Well, that's coming, yeah. I suppose you've got to play d4 there, but maybe.
This is,
It looks like extremely good compensation, doesn't it?
yeah, this rook coming to d8 and white's development looking very, very ropey.
Yeah.
But Nepomniachtchi, he's a player who's, you know, he wants the initiative, and
so the other way round is just to take it straight off, take the knight. Bishop takes.
Yeah.
Now take this.
And then bishop takes e4. And then black can play various flowing moves like rook a d8.
Rook a d8 is a move.
Yeah.
Queen h5 is a move.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop f6 is a move. I mean, all the moves mentioned, I quite like rook a d8.
Yeah. Rook a d8 keeps the most flexibility.
But black's got extremely good compensation.
Well, it's like, you know, white's next move, is he going to play bishop b2? Can he play bishop b2? And then does black play
Queen h5, can't we?
Yeah, queen h5, why not?
There was also queen g5.
Yeah, queen g5.
Anyway, the point is that white is struggling to complete his development, particularly the queen and rooks, and black is way ahead. So
yeah,
clearly this did not attract Ding at all, and therefore he declined the sacrifice.
Yeah,
and you can understand that.
Well, now after queen h5, then he played h4, which looks incredibly risky, and now he could still take the pawn. This is what Stockfish suggests.
What, take on e4? Wow, bishop f6 is it? Or
bishop f6, rook a d8. The engine gives knight c7. Like, but
just play on.
Yeah. But that's just one move of many. But h4 looks very risky because of the weakening of the king.
Do you think that's a mistaken judgment call?
I don't know. Maybe it's jet lag. I mean, h4 it looks like a horrible move.
It does. You're right.
Yeah, I don't get h4 at all.
I mean, do we know when he arrived before the tournament? Did he arrive, a couple of days before, or on the day, or what? I mean, or a week before? Well, normally they give themselves time to acclimatise, don't they?
Well, it would make sense. It would make sense to go about 10 days early or something, for an event of this importance. Because h4, then black has the compensation without having to give up a pawn.
Well, that's it. Black's got a beautiful position now. I mean, he could just take on e3, could he not?
Yeah.
Or bishop f6, or
yeah. Well, he does bishop f6, and then the pawn is no longer hanging.
No.
And I just don't get h4. So then queen here. Now he takes on e3, de, and plays bishop f5.
I mean, it just seems much easier for black to coordinate his pieces.
Yeah.
Look at this bishop on g2, walled up.
Yeah.
So it's gone wrong already, hasn't it?
Well, something has gone horribly wrong, and I mean, for Ding to play so, uncharacteristically badly with this, it makes you think that something was amiss. Maybe he's just, half asleep or something.
Well, that's your fact. I mean, if we return to the position where he played knight e3, I think, if you're looking at this more closely, you could even trace it back to here.
Well, knight e3 is theory still. There've been games with knight e3.
Well, maybe, but I mean, that to me just looks like a much better move.
Yeah, I would play that or
d3.
D3 attacks the pawn on e4, so it's got some, some real benefits.
Just to get some sort of freedom of movement. Yeah, but this is also good because if he goes queen e6 or something, you go bishop g5, can't you?
Well, I would have thought
and go after the pawn.
Yeah, queen e6. So has black got to take? Yeah, he's got to take it anyway.
Well, then it goes back into the line you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We get this queen takes, and now queen h5 or something. But here white's got a centre pawn, which is quite a useful thing. Or queen h5 probably.
Well, it's better for white than the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Funnily enough, white played h4 in the only game that's coming up here. Matamoros against Adams.
Okay.
From a couple of years back. So, yeah, well, let's rejoin the game. But I mean, the knight a4. I mean, he wants to exchange pieces here, which of course makes perfect sense. And the last guy is coming over to join the party on the king side.
Yep. And
rook e6 over protecting e4, which kills the bishop on g2. And now he centralizes the knight. This position looks absolutely dire for white. Because he's got no play.
Can't even get any action going on the queen side with b5.
Well, yeah, he has to play b5 apparently.
At some point or now?
Yeah, right away.
Probably.
Because when he goes rook d4, already g5 was very strong for black.
But even b5 there looks better for white, doesn't it?
Well, b5, then black goes h6.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bc, rook d4, g5.
Yeah.
And bishop takes, rook takes, queen here with a pin. Knight d2, g takes h4, still with a pin.
Yeah.
And then queen here takes, queen takes there. With a, well, this is a better chance of salvation, surely.
I would have thought so.
Yeah, because black white can get the queens off.
But I mean, it's going to be a pawn down and an ending, so it won't be that pleasant.
Oh no.
However, this was less than pleasant.
Oh, this is
ugly now.
Sheer misery.
That's a nice move.
B5. And white should play b5 still. Still the best hope.
Yeah, I mean, but g takes h4. You can see why he doesn't. So show that line then. Let's see it. So b5.
Yeah, b5.
You think you can just destroy him with g takes h4?
Yeah. B takes c6.
Now take on g3.
Take on g3. F takes g3. Queen e5.
Hang on a minute. Really?
Yeah, queen e5. Wanting to take on g3 and then
rook e4.
Queen a1 check.
I was wondering how long it'd take you to spot that.
We're fast off the mark this morning.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah,
Right, knight c4, queen takes g3.
I mean,
Queen e1.
you can see why you wouldn't go for this.
Yeah, well, that's that's
it's so bad.
a miserable endgame, but it's better. It's better than getting checkmated, which is what happens in the game. There was a photo of Ding after the game that I saw, and he looked desolate.
Shattered,
and I can understand him because it's probably one of his worst games in years.
Yes, you don't want that when you come to an event of this stature, do you?
No, you're in the public eye. People are gawking at the game on the internet. With the engines running.
Yeah, making this 2 pennyworth.
Yeah. And so here, then white.
There are a few threats.
There are a few threats here, aren't there? So if you take on g2,
well, there's a rook takes f2, isn't there, at some point?
Well,
you go check on
h3. Rook takes f2, it's going to be mate on with queen g1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just show the audience that one.
Check on rook takes f2 straight away.
Yeah, rook takes f2, king takes, check here, king here, bishop here, check, king here, queen there, checkmate.
Oh.
And so f4. This is slightly
not a whole lot better.
It's not a whole lot better, is it?
Goodbye.
Queen takes there, threatening to make a new queen or queen f1 mate, and takes their bishop h3 check.
Nice.
Yeah, and so king h2, you play queen f1, or takes here, you go queen h1 check, king up, and then it is.
Yes.
What's the mate there, Andrew? Over to you.
I'm still working on it. Need there be a mate, or can we just not take all these pieces off? Let's have a look. So king h3, queen h1, king g4, h5, king g5. So there's no counterplay whatsoever for him. So you've actually got a move, haven't you? Well, why can't you play?
Isn't there
right, g2 there?
Yeah.
What does he do about that?
Yeah, queen g2 or queen h3.
I mean, well, all right, that one. Even Houdini would struggle to get out of this.
Yeah, Houdini resigns at this point. Well, I feel quite sorry for him, because he's sort of had such a tough route. I mean, to be honest,
quite rare though. It's quite rare for a game like this day and age to be played in one of these high-level tournaments.
Oh yeah, it's like
kind of like a rout.
Yeah, it's like Duke of Brunswick versus Morphy type stuff.
Or you decided to be Blackburn.
Not want to be the Duke in that situation. So, yeah, okay. I mean, I just feel really sorry for Ding because he's had such a he and Aronian you would have thought should be, and Wesley So should be in the candidates tournament.
Yeah, well,
these are the guys who should be in.
Yeah,
and I don't want to say who shouldn't be in, but there are but but there are several people who definitely should be in.
How did they qualify then? Do you know?
Well, there were all sorts of strange routes, and Karyakin was in. Why was Karyakin in? Well, Karyakin was kicked out, of course, because he, because of his political views, and so that gave Ding his chance. By being the highest rated player who wasn't already in. Anyway.
Well, okay, so let's move on to the next game. Nakamura, your favourite or one of your favourites versus Radjabov.
Yeah. So
I think we're going to meet our old friend, aren't we?
Yeah, we get
After just 3 moves.
A Berlin.
Hoorah!
But it's not a Berlin endgame because
The
white
crowd go wild.
steps it with pawn to d3.
Yeah, this is.
And then we get this.
Okay, that's slightly unusual.
Black going for a trade of pieces when he could play pawn to d6. What will I play against? There's the Mortimer trap, isn't there here? That's a kind of fun thing. So knight takes e5, pawn to c6. If bishop back, then queen a5 check wins the knight. And if knight here, threatening mate, you go pawn to d5 and still win a piece.
Well, I don't know why I didn't do that.
Yeah, it wins by force. So anyway, Rajibov missed that opportunity to set the Mortimer trap. And with black, I would probably go d6 here because then white wants to play d4.
Well, bishop c5 has stood the test of time, hasn't it? I mean, this has been played countless times at a very high level. So you've got to assume that
probably a decent move.
Knight b2 some sort of very new twist.
It is the number 4 move, but it's still flashing up 269 games on the Lee Chess database.
I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't look like much at all.
Yeah,
Knight d4 should be quite a good solution because it, exchanges a pair of pieces, makes black's life slightly easier. No.
Yeah, but I mean, the standard move here is d6.
Yeah, in which case you're not really punishing white or trying to for his knight bd2.
Yeah. So knight d4 takes, bishop takes, c3.
Yeah, yeah.
Bishop here, and now d4.
So this is a critical move, right?
Yeah.
So can he take that first of all?
Well, I suppose the answer is e5, isn't it?
Yes. Now let's have a look at this. Okay, so
a gambit by Nakamura.
Okay, we take on c3. Come on.
Take on c3, and you take back.
And now I am going to play in grand style. c6.
c6. Right, and you don't lose castle and stuff.
No.
Because you've got to be aware of queen here check.
Yes, king here check, yes.
Bishop here check, king here, and it's looking like another loss for the Duke.
It is. It does.
That would be good. Then we have a couple of miniatures in the tournament already. Does
this win straight away?
Well, I would have thought so. Because black can't get his pieces out. So queen here, then
queen g4.
Yeah, well, some version of. You can also take on g7, forcing him to take back, and then queen b check. Oh well, that would be a good finish, wouldn't it? So queen here check, king here.
The Duke is in trouble.
That would have been a 17-move victory for white. I didn't explain why he played the cowardly c6 there. But now we get this.
Well, let's go back one second. Yeah. So this position.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is c6 is the only move, right?
Yeah. I would have thought so.
Unless you like this taking move, e5, queen e7. Castles. Yeah, and then you got to go there. Doesn't look very nice.
Yeah, maybe knight f3.
Well, I might grab another pawn then in the style of the Count.
Yeah, we'll get your knights on d5.
I did say in the style of the Count.
And that seems to recover
the terrible, absolute garbage for black.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so c6.
Yeah, c6 was played, and now we get these with black's pawn structure temporarily damaged.
But the 2 bishops are his.
Yeah. Now white should just play quietly with knight f3 apparently, which I can understand. But Nakamura plays his patented queen h5, which he often plays on move 2.
There he goes.
Yeah. There's all the blitzes coming into play here.
And now the next move by Radjabov is rather interesting, isn't it? He gives a pawn up to break free.
Yeah, yeah. So he goes there, rook e1, rook e8, knight f3, and now d5. Well, it makes perfect sense because you get compensation because your light square bishop from being a very bad piece becomes a very good one.
Yes. Well, on with the show, the pawn must be taken, no?
Yeah. Now white should take with the queen, but he's probably concerned about getting an opposite color bishop endgame.
Okay, so he takes with the queen.
Yeah, he should take with the queen. And then they would
bishop g4 first. No, bishop g4 first. No.
Bishop f5.
No, I meant beforehand. Now keep going back. Now bishop g4. No,
bishop g4. Well, I suppose white can play bishop e3 anyway.
He can.
Yeah.
That's the reason he doesn't do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So take this first, and here, yes, bishop e3.
Yeah.
Takes bishop e4. And then rook d8. Yeah.
And white goes rook d4 and
f5.
and black needs to do that, and white pushes the pawn. Black comes in, and white plays g4. Try and so this apparently is quite nice for white.
Well, you're getting your knight into the game.
Yeah, you get your knight into
and you've still got double pawns, and you've got a pass pawn on e3. So these little things should add up to something.
Yeah. So, okay, back to the game. He took on d5 with the pawn.
It should be said that actually these guys are capable of calculating a variation like that, aren't they? And judging it at the end.
Well, you'd have thought so.
I mean, I really do think so, yeah.
Yeah. And queen back here. Bishop e3. Maybe Nakamura wanted the queens on because of the, queen and knight there all right.
Well, possibly, yes.
So he thought, well, in a position where I've got a knight against a bishop, really I want the queens on still.
I mean, has black got enough compensation for the pawn? It's hard to imagine that he has.
Yeah, yeah. He's struggling to muster up quite enough. We get this, and white goes d6 instead of rook d1, which was
okay. So what happens after that? Queen takes a2.
Rook d1.
Yeah.
If you go queen takes a2, then white will play.
No.
Maybe pawn to e4.
And then knight d3.
Knight d3, even after queen takes b2.
No, you can't do that. Knight d3
Yeah,
wins.
Sorry?
Knight d3 wins exchange then, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a whole rook, isn't it? Because no, it's just the exchange.
Yeah, this is not good for black, is it? White's got his act together.
Yeah.
He's going to get his queen in.
White gets coordinated that way. So the line is rook f5, rook d4.
Wow.
Queen takes a2, queen g3. And it appears that white still gets coordinated.
looks in a spot bother.
Yeah. White played after rook e5. White played pawn to d6, which allows the black bishop to have more squares.
Well, can't black put a piece on d5 now?
Well, he does.
Oh.
And then white goes rook d1, and they get this. Rook d5, f6, taking away the e5 square. Well, white should play king f2.
I mean, king f2 is the move that comes to hand.
Yeah, you'd think.
Why does he not do that? Is he afraid of something like rook e6 or what?
Yeah, he probably wants to get his rook to the 7th before black can get rook e6 in.
I mean, I can see the point of rook c5. You want to get the rook in and the knight working on the bishop.
And he gets his rook on the 7th, you know, sort of eating pawns and stuff.
Well, perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
The king f2. So how does it go? King f2. Let's have a look.
So king f2.
Hang on, he's played fc. Yeah, king f2. Yes. Rook e6 is it? Yes.
Knight d4. Rook e5. This may be an easier position for black to play, actually.
Well, isn't white still better here?
Yeah, but I think it's this one's probably a draw.
Really? Wow. Hang on, is that necessary?
What, that rather than c4?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, c4 is the obvious thing to do, isn't it? The computer's gone slightly haywire there. King here.
I mean, again, what is it? How long does it take white to queen a pawn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and black one. His king's in the wrong place, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is behind. Black is behind. So yeah, okay. This looks.
Yeah, but he's moving first, isn't he? So if he goes g5 first.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's a tempo behind.
Well, white's going to be a pawn up in the queen endgame.
Well, you must allow. Well, if he takes an a7, what black will be queening with check.
I thought he was okay. You're going to go c4 takes and then a4.
Something
like
that.
Go a4 takes and then c4.
Yeah, that's right. That's the idea.
Yeah. And I think white should have a choice about which.
Let's have a look at this. So here. We've got to take it, hasn't it? Takes this. Yeah. This must be winning now. Just c4. I mean, not only that, we're queening with check. So.
So hang on. After a4, I think we're
here. a4.
a4.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 6. I'm 6 moves from queening. If you go king g3, you're not winning the race there. You're losing the race, hands down.
Let me just double check this with a.
So king e3.
Yeah.
He's got to take the pawn. King f4. King e6.
I'm just.
You have to be so careful in these endings. Razor sharp, but
oh yeah,
you would think that white would be doing very well here in view of black's pawn structure on the queen side.
Yeah, I'm double checking this one. Knight takes d7, king takes, king e3, or king.
Well, I mean, I don't see anything better for black than that. And then we get this variation, and then white goes for it. I mean, I suppose the only other move here, if we go king d6, then he goes king f5. And this has got to be worse for black than the other line.
Right, hang on. Knight e5 check, king e6, knight takes d7,
Yeah.
takes.
King e3.
Right, king e3.
King takes pawn. King f4.
f4.
Yeah.
And then black goes king e6.
Yes.
And
h4.
white goes h4.
Good move.
And black goes king f6.
f6.
Or even pawn to a5 draws, apparently. And then white goes h5.
Yeah.
And black goes king e6.
Yeah.
White goes king e4.
Yeah.
And now
should black play h6.
Black should go g6.
Really?
Yeah. g6 draws.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I've got Stockfish and a table base on it. Also, b6 draws.
Slightly surprising, but I will have to believe these machines.
Yeah, well, it should be right. It's good engine and a table base should be
absolutely
okay. So
maybe that's why he didn't go king f2.
Yeah, that would explain it. So he's keeping his he's keeping practical chances.
Yeah, he gets his rook on the 7th and he stations his knight on an unassailable square.
Yeah. So and now he puts his pawns on dark squares, which you would expect. So these are good practical decisions by Nakamura. And then they get this, and bishop e6, rook c7, and here black needs to play bishop h3, which is a pretty obscure move to have to find.
Just to get it out of the way as much as anything.
Yeah. Now he goes rook d5.
Yeah, trying to tempt white into taking the bishop, isn't he?
Yeah, take the bishop, rook e5 check. And the endgame's probably a draw that way. But now white plays rook c6, check here, bishop d7, rook takes a6. And now black is in just huge trouble.
Take the pawn.
Yeah, takes on h4, plays rook e4.
Can't get his king in. That's the annoying thing for black.
Yeah, because of this powerful knight on d4.
Well, until white gets a pass pawn.
Yeah, so he's after the b pawn now, and harasses the bishop again and again.
I mean, this is grueling stuff, is it? It really takes it out of you to play a game like this, especially if you lose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that Rajabov's chances. I mean, he's obviously a brilliant player, but his in this field, I do believe he's going to struggle. And so king g2 is apparently a big mistake. He should play king f4. I mean, I can understand king g2.
Mm.
And now black should play rook b1 with chances to save the game. He then gets his king up finally.
The difference being that there's no check on c2 after rook c1. Is that right?
Sorry, yeah. There's no check on c2.
I mean, that is a bit strange. You would expect him to play rook b2. Again, it
And then activate the king. Yeah.
might be tiredness.
Well, possibly, and I don't know what the clock situation was at this point.
This is the last chance saloon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Well, it's desperate now. I mean, the final stages do look like some time trouble was rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, I mean, imagine playing lots of games of that nature. You'd be absolutely wiped out, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, they're young things, so they, they should be doing lots of sport and whatever. They should be able to cope.
Looking at the photographs, it doesn't seem to me as though a lot of them are doing much sport at all. Sitting in front of a blinking computer, pressing the keys, which might strengthen the wrist area.
Yeah. So, well, let's have a look at the Nakamura loss to Caruana.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably relieved he's only going to get one black against Caruana. And we have our friend, the Berlin, again. But once again, we've got the Berlin avoidance with D3.
Hey, by gum, lad, this is fine stuff.
Bishop C5. Why not knight E7 or pawn to D6,
So now we get this bishop takes C6 line.
Yeah.
Where white's trying to prove that the black's pieces are slightly misplaced in an exchange variation situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because ideally you want your pawn on C5 and you want your other pawn on F6. And then you arrange the bishop on D6 and your knight on E7. And it's a devil of a job trying to get them there now.
I mean, I imagine against weaker players, right? Somebody who's not of the highest level, this is actually quite a good line for white to play. Because, you can grind away.
Oh, yeah.
And black's got to struggle to equalise. But again, at the highest level, I mean, they've got it all worked out, haven't they?
Yeah.
Obviously, white can't take a pawn.
Rosalimo variation of the Sicilian with bishop takes c6, just inflicting a micro weakness on black, to then.
I mean, that's a funny move, knight b3, isn't it?
It's a very funny move.
I mean, you've got d4 here, you've got b3. d4 looks like the thematic move, doesn't it?
Yeah, you go knight d7 then. Yeah, knight d7 is.
Well, then you've got your pawn structure, haven't you? That you'll desire.
Yeah, but you're opening it up for his bishops.
Let's have a look. Go on then. Knight takes.
Yeah. Knight takes, bishop takes.
Knight f3.
Knight f3. Trade queens.
Well, I mean, surely this is playing into white's hands, isn't it?
Well, I don't know so much. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an awful lot. You go bishop back to d6, don't you?
Yeah, but you don't get very much in the exchange Spanish anyway. This looks like exactly what white's aiming for. headed towards the end game.
Bishop d7.
What is this? Can't be analysis, can it?
Hasn't white got e5 here? Bishop takes e5. Well, this is. I'm just making this up as I go along. You can't tell, can you?
Well, okay, there must be a reason he doesn't go d4. Have you got any games with this?
Well, there's going to be games here, aren't there? D4,
yeah, that's what I meant.
Knight d7. Yeah, so there's Nakamura white against Aronian.
In this line?
And white against, in this line. We can put that game in.
So we went knight d7.
Yeah. D takes e5, knight takes, bishop takes, and then f4 was met by queen d4 check.
That's a bishop.
Queen d4 check, yeah. King h1, bishop d6, queen e2, castles f5, bishop d7.
But why is White going for an exciting game?
Well, because
Nakamura is white.
Nakamura likes exciting games.
Okay.
Knight f3, Queen a4, b3, Queen a5, Bishop d2, Bishop b4, takes, Queen f2, b6, Knight g5. Now f6.
What was the result?
This is a blitz game, by the way. Nakamura Aronian 5th Zurich CC Blitz. they're bashing this out in blitz games as well.
Honestly, I think there's an argument to be made for the very steady Knight f3 here.
You may well be right.
And if he takes it off, I mean, should he even take it off? Maybe he should just move his bishop.
Well, takes and play Bishop g4.
Yeah, but even that pawn structure's favourable to White, isn't it? So we play like Bobby Fischer.
You're going to go Rook d3. I was hoping you're going to go h3. Okay. And now we will retreat our bishop.
Yeah, but White's got a slight edge of this ending. I mean, it's a classic, a classic Roy Lopez exchange variation scenario. You know, the whole idea of this variation.
Yeah.
Black sets the boring game in motion with Knight f6, and White beats him at his own game.
Well, it's going to be okay.
Let's say 1 horsepower mind. This
how are you going to
White wins this game in 110 moves. Okay, I don't understand why he didn't do that. There must be a reason. I'm sure somebody will point it out later.
Knight b3 is probably. I mean,
weird square for the knight.
It looks very strange, but Queen e7, the knight comes to a5. See, I would have thought after knight b3 has been played as well.
Knight on a5 looks weird to me. If you ask me.
Well, it makes more sense there because you're trying to route the you're trying to keep these pawns on the spot.
Yeah.
And well, it's White has scored well apparently.
This is still book, is it?
Yeah, Robson Dominguez and Karthik against Alexandrov.
And now Black rejects castles on the queen side.
He does indeed. Which Stockfish is all for. You know, Stockfish says, I got castles on the queen side, get my rooks connected and protecting the b pawn. I like Stockfish. It's down to earth.
Okay. There has to be a reason he doesn't go rook castles. But can we just take a look at the castle on the queen side?
Yeah, castles queen side.
Okay.
And this apparently has been played in several games.
Yeah.
Both won by Black.
Well, not surprising, is it? Particularly like that on a5.
Well,
I need my queen threatening b7.
So now there's a3 and bishop d2, presumably with the idea of b4 and c4 or something.
Yeah. Right, sorry for that.
Yeah, so he wants b4 and c4 and queen b1 or whatever.
Well, it's original chess certainly.
But this is very much like these Rosalimo bishop takes c6 things as well.
Mm.
It's very much like those.
Rook b8. Okay, he goes rook b8.
Yeah, rook b8, and now he gets water tortured. So bishop g3, knight d7, and now d4.
Yeah.
And the problem for Black is the long-term future of his king. You've got to wonder where he's going to put his king.
Well, he's going to castle short, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be a barrel of laughs, is it?
Yeah. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. If I've got nowhere to put my king, then So now bishop takes e5 apparently is not the most precise, but black's position is difficult to play in practice because of the king position issue.
I would say it's extraordinarily ropey. Knight c4.
Yeah, because now he also gets rid of the bishops.
Queen e3.
Queen e3, annoying 2 pawns. g4 is forced.
Now, okay, so this next move I like very much by Caruana, because I think black is going to play king d7, isn't he? I think that's what the intention is, isn't it?
Yeah, put the king on b8, castle by hand.
So his next move is good. It's good. It's kind of acts to discourage that, because if he goes king d7 now do we go queen b6 or knight c4 after that? Let's have a look. Go king d7. So I mean that looks normal.
Yeah. So king d7, knight c4,
Knight c4.
and use the b file. And
have you got to take that knight? I guess you have.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Because otherwise the white queen goes to a7 or something like that.
Yeah.
And now black's king e3.
Maybe you need to do that.
Well, rook b1.
Yeah, and then retreat.
Rook b6, I guess.
Yeah, rook b6, rook d7.
There's going to be some rook a6 at some point. Okay, double up.
Yeah, it's not. I'm going to be cheapoed here if I'm not extraordinarily careful. Maybe even if I am. Can we?
Are you going to stop rook a6 at some point? Queen d8.
Well, can I try and attack you?
I doubt it.
Well, you're just going to go fg and h3, aren't you?
Well, I was going to play queen b3.
Yeah, queen b3 is threatening rook takes a6, and that is probably enough to cause me serious concern, unless I can just go rook c7 and then run.
Well, I skewer your rook. I take the rook in the corner, don't I?
Oh, you got the rook on h8. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable.
I don't know. That's a sort of off the cuff line, but it gives you an impression of why you play knight b3. I think.
Yeah, but certainly on the king side, then the black king is going to find no peace.
I think castles might be a losing move, actually.
Yeah, possibly.
Caruana, because he's so stable in this type of position, he can grind you out.
Yeah, and so d5, he does d5 before white finds a way to keep improving his position. I mean, Nakamura is not a player who likes to be a sitting duck.
Mm.
I don't like his pawns on e4 and d5, though, I must admit.
c4.
Yeah, c4 and rook e8, cd, bishop takes d5.
Now I think it's getting very bad.
Oh yeah, it's terrible now because the knight's come into a fabulous square.
And the bishop is horrible.
Yeah.
But he lets his queen in. Once the queen comes in, I think that's just curtains, really. Look at that, beautiful.
Queen and knight.
All of white's pieces on dark squares. Note against the light square bishop. Last chance.
So HG, apparently not even the most precise, but certainly good enough. So he just gained a bit of time on the clock. Of course, there's not going to be any exchange of queens. And that was a directly losing move, although the position is apparently should go queen d6 there. But the practical difficulties black faces in this, this whole thing are just immense. So now he's even lost a pawn, but still has got this horrendously weak king. And he resigned at this point.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So
Can I say Queen G6?
yeah, Queen G4 check,
Queen
King
G6,
takes H6,
Knight F5 check, is it?
Queen G6, Knight F5 check. I might be. Yeah, and then Queen King H7, Queen H4 check.
Yeah, let's see that, shall we?
Yeah, we can see that. So Queen G6, Knight F5 check. King
Can't go to G8.
King F7, Knight H4 check, winning the Queen, or King H7, you go Queen H4 check,
Winning the Rook.
and or the Queen. You get the Queen first, and then come back for seconds with the Rook. So it's I mean, it's hard, I think, to bet against Caruana because he, I think, in many eras he would have been the best player in the world.
Yeah.
It just so happens that he was in the Magnus Carlsen era, because to me it looks like he's got all the qualities needed for a world champion. He's emotionally very, very stable, and has got tremendous preparation. In certain positions, he's just plays like a machine. So yeah, I put in an extra game because I wanted to show Nakamura's defense in this endgame. But I think we can basically skip to the endgame.
Well, why don't we bash through the first few moves, all the moves until the endgame?
There are some.
So this is against Firouzja, isn't it?
Yeah, and so this has been supposedly the answer to the Zurich variation, and obviously White is going to have prepared this. This all looks like preparation. And now H6, Bishop H4, Queen E7 has all been played before. Knight F3, Rook D8 has been played before. And now Queen C2 has only been played in one game. And Black played C5 in this game. And now White played Bishop takes F6. This is Saracen Francesco against, he's not called Shitko, his opponent, is he?
I wouldn't know. I don't have the.
It's Schitco, Ivan. Maybe it is Shitko. Okay. Anyway, White now played Bishop takes F6 in that game, and E4 is an obvious attempt to improve. Bishop takes F1, Rook takes F1, G5, and that is unbelievably risky because White can sack.
Yes.
And White did.
Hang on. Okay, so let's have a quick look. So does he have to play G5 with White threatening E5? Probably he does. Or doesn't he? I mean, the only other thing is to move the Queen, isn't it?
Yeah, you can move the Queen.
Queen B7, maybe.
Maybe Queen F8. Oh, Queen F8, E5. So there's still.
There's still problems on that diagonal.
Yeah, there's serious problems. So C5.
What a strange position, isn't it?
Yeah, E4
Very strange.
is an obvious thing to do.
A lot of preparation by the look of it.
Well, this looks like it sets some problems for Black.
So
it's back to the Queen C2 against the Nimzo. Probably start a new fashion. Well, that was a boring line to play with Black as well.
Right, we'll keep going then. We want to get to this end game.
Yeah, so let's zoom through the game. Well, I thought that Nakamura's defense also from here. Right, so he's in obviously huge trouble.
So E5 is no good. Right. Knight C6 here. This is no good.
Is E5 any good? Black, we don't use engines on this show, by the way, people. So Knight takes D4, presumably.
Yeah. Okay. Go on then.
Knight takes D4.
No, there's a problem with Queen B7. So I've got to take this.
Ah, okay. So then rook takes d4 and queen
b7.
Queen b7.
Threatening queen e4 check. That spoils my party.
It does indeed.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Right. So queen c1, rook takes d4, rook takes, knight takes, queen f4. And now if black goes king g7, there is, of course, e5. So he does this check, and this check, and this check, and gets the queens off.
Incredible.
Into what should still be a nice endgame for white, because it's imbalanced pawns and a bishop against a knight. So Harry
Well,
the
but you do get your knight to d5. That's a nice.
Yeah. So that is two connected passed pawns for white on the king side, which I'm sure the viewers will see as well. So little trick there, you can't take the bishop because of h7. Attacks the a pawn, pushes on with the g pawn here, and g6.
Here they come.
And so in this position, I looked at this whole endgame with the engine, and Nakamura played like only moves for move after move after move.
So all white has to do to win is to get a check on the long diagonal, isn't it? More or less.
Any check on d4, e5, f6, c3, b2, or a1, right, will win. And so black exchanges a pawn with c3, takes, knight takes check. Now Firouzja was using gobs of time at this point. Right, he was trying to work it out. It has to be winning, surely. King here.
You think just moving the king up would be the right way?
Well, that's right, but it doesn't seem to bring home the bacon. So you go king. Say you go king d3.
Well, knight f4 check then.
Knight f4 check. So you can't bring the king up directly. So he goes bishop g5 to take away knight f4 check.
Bishop a5, I thought. Right?
Bishop a5.
Oh, then knight f4. No, then check. Okay.
Yeah, and check. So, but bishop a5, you can play e5, surely.
Bishop c3. Oh, yeah, you don't win. Yeah, you might lose.
Yeah, because he takes it, doesn't he? He plays
you do lose.
d4, b4.
Okay, so bishop. No, you're just going knight f4, aren't you?
Yeah.
How annoying.
It's very annoying.
Okay, so bishop g5 to stop all that.
Yeah, and he goes e5.
Okay.
So now you can't play knight f4 unless it's a check. Now he waits with king h8.
Okay, so if he goes knight f4 there, what happens?
So here is bishop f6 check.
That is nasty. It's just plain mean.
Yeah.
So that's why you can't move your knight. Okay, carry on. b4. Nice.
He goes king h8. And as soon as white's king comes here, now he counterattacks with b4.
Yeah. Queening with king.
So white takes it. A3. Bishop here. And he goes knight takes b4. So now if bishop takes a3, you get the knight to f4. So you play knight here, check, king moves, knight f4. And you successfully win the
Well, if bishop a3, knight c2 check now and take the bishop.
Oh, you take the bishop, of course. You take the bishop. Sorry.
It's been a long show.
I think we need to start spending those buy me a coffee donations.
Well, yeah. Die from caffeine poisoning.
Thank you, Murray. Right. So right, where are we? So b4 was an only move A3 is an only move. Knight takes B4 is an only move. King D2. And now Knight D5 is an only move. If you go A2, he goes Bishop B2.
Yeah.
Might show that as well.
And then the king comes up, yes.
And the king advances.
There's going to be some check coming.
Yeah. And you can no longer avoid a check.
That's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dugzong.
So now he comes back. So he wants to play knight f4 again. And this time white is unable to avoid it. So he promptly liquidates everything. And Nakamura plays on. But only for a move. I just thought that was tremendous, you know.
Yeah, it was very good. Very, very good indeed.
Yeah,
very effective.
To find all of those only moves.
Almost study-like.
Yeah. Like a live study.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. So so who's your you can do this first. Who is your tip for the 1 and 2? Because they might be playing a match for the World Championship if Carlsen decides not to defend.
Well, I think Caruana, definitely.
Yeah.
I think he's got all the stability needed. And I can't really look beyond Nakamura and the Pomniachi, one of those two.
Yeah. I think Caruana and because Nepomniachtchi seems to handle losses very badly, then I will go with Nakamura for number 2.
I'd quite like to see a match between Carlsen and Nakamura. I mean, I think that's what the crowd want to see, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it would be a really good match.
It's not necessarily Carlsen Caruana again.
Yeah. I mean, with Nakamura, I mean, you know, if he focused on the actual match and didn't sort of live stream his commentary or whatever after the games, then you know, he might be even better. just pointing out something, Hikaru, if you do manage to get into that situation. Well,
okay, so that was an interesting show. Yeah, what do you think, Nigel?
Yeah, well, it's looking at the games. I mean, I don't usually follow top level events, but I have sort of I did look at that end game quite carefully because I thought it was you know, I saw the position and how he defended, and I started looking at it with the engine, and I thought it was amazing. And the Berlin avoidance things, yeah, well, you know, can take it or leave it, to be honest. Nakamura and Caruana, they both impressed me, I have to say. You know, maybe Ding will you know, get over his jet lag.
Yeah.
So he should be over it by now, actually, because if it's about an hour a day and we're already like 5 days into the event, he ought to be more or less okay.
Well, in a week's time, we'll be able to give more careful impressions of what's going on, because the tournament will be advanced by then, won't it? Yeah,
indeed. Could be a real ding-dong battle.
So that's about it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I can only stress it would be really great if you could like us on YouTube, become a subscriber, perhaps buy us a coffee, or even join our huge Twitch following, which is growing at the rate of about two new people a year. So that's about it for today, unless Nigel's got anything else to say.
No, just the same. You know, we could do with a bit of support here. You know,
we wish you all,
especially the coffee. The coffee will help with the mistakes we make.
We very much wish you a good week, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
Cheers, Nigel.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.